So today we're going to be going over how to multiply fractions. So in our first example here, we have a mixed number multiplied by a fraction. So what am I going to do here? Whenever you have a mixed number, what we do first is we convert them into improper fractions. And the way that we do that is we multiply the denominator by the whole number, so 3 times 2 is 6, and then we add the numerator. Plus 2 would give me 8. The fraction was negative, so it remains negative, so I'm going to write negative 8 over 3. The denominator was originally 3, so it stays at 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and multiply it by 3/8. At this step, what I'm going to do now is check to see if I can cross cancel. So I'm going to look at the numbers across from each other. Do 8 and 8 have anything in common? The answer is yes, they both have an 8 in common. So negative 8 divided by 8 becomes a negative 1. 8 divided by 8 becomes a 1. Now looking across between the 3 and the 3, do those numbers have anything in common? Yes, they have a 3 in common, so I'm going to divide 3 divided by 3 becomes 1. 3 divided by 3 becomes 1 as well. So here when you multiply across, you're going to have negative 1 times 1, which is negative 1, and then 1 times 1, which is 1. We would reduce this one step further and say that our answer is negative 1. So that would be our answer. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and take a look at another example. What if we have something like this? In this case, we can see that we have a whole number times a fraction. So at this step, what I'm going to do is go ahead and make this whole number into a fraction. So I'm going to go and put it over 1, because 4 divided by 1 is still 4. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it so it looks a little bit neater. So it's 4 times 1, so 4 over 1 times a negative 3/5. Notice I purposely drew the negative sign in the numerator because here the negative sign can be either drawn in the numerator or the denominator. It doesn't really matter as long as you don't write it for both the numerators and denominators. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check, do 4 and 5 have anything in common? No. Do 1 and 3 have anything in common? No. So in a case like this where you can't cross cancel, all you're going to have to do is multiply across. So 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. And 1 times 5 is 5. So this to me is a sufficient answer. It's an improper fraction, but we have been working with improper fractions, so that's okay. However, if you did want to turn this into a mixed number, I'm going to go ahead and show you how you would do that. So first things first, what you should decide is what is a negative divided by a positive. Since the signs are different, it's going to be a negative number. Now off to the side, I'm going to have some side work right here. I'm going to divide. So one thing you need to understand is this. Your numerator will always be your dividend. It has nothing to do with if your number is larger or anything like that. The rule is your numerator is always your dividend. So I'm going to put 12 as my dividend. So if your numerator is your dividend, your denominator is always your divisor. So I'm going to go ahead and divide it by 5. So once more, it has nothing to do with the larger number going inside and being dividend. Nothing at all. It depends on if it's a numerator, it's your dividend. If it's your denominator, it's your divisor, etc. So here, how many times does 5 go into 1? It can't. How many times does 5 go into 12? It can go in twice, which gives me 10, and it's going to give me a remainder of 2. So 2 is going to become my numerator. And 5 was originally my denominator, so it's going to stay the denominator. So I would have negative 2 and 2/5. So both of these answers are equivalent. It's just that one is improper and one is mixed. But they represent the same thing. So now let's just go ahead and move on to our very last example. So in this case, we have a mixed number being multiplied by another mixed number. So in the case again with the mixed number, what you're going to do first is turn them into improper fractions. So multiply the denominator by the whole number and then you add the numerator. So in this case, 5 times 2 is 10 plus 4 is 14. My fraction was negative, so it's going to remain negative. I put negative 14 over 5. So once more, I went ahead and put the negative in the numerator just so that I can it would help me remind that there is a negative number. So now I'm just going to go ahead and multiply it by this second fraction here. Multiply the denominator by the whole number and then add the numerator. So 7 times 3 is 21, plus 3 is 24. It's a negative number, so I'm going to go and put the negative sign in my numerator. So negative 24 over 7. Now this step, what I'm going to do is check to see if I can cross cancel. Do 5 and negative 24 have anything in common? No. Do 14 and 7 have anything in common? Yes. Both have a factor of 7, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce. Negative 14 divided by 7 will become a negative 2. 7 divided by 7 will become a 1. So here what I'm going to do now is multiply straight across. A negative 2 times a negative 24 will give me a positive 48 since the signs are the same. 5 times 1 is just 5. Now here, this fraction is already reduced. This is an acceptable answer. This is your improper fraction. However, if for some reason you were asked to write it as a mixed number, again, what you would want to do is first decide a positive divided by positive. It's going to be positive, so we're going to leave it at that. Now here, once more, your numerator is your dividend every single time. Okay, your divisor is your denominator, so I'm going to divide by 5. Can 5 go into 4? No. Can 5 go into 48? Yes, it goes in 9 times, which gives me 45 with a remainder of 3. So 3 is going to become the numerator. The denominator was originally 5, so it's going to stay a 5. So an equivalent fraction to 48 fifths would be 9 and 3 fifths. Both answers are acceptable. They are equivalent to each other. The first one is an improper fraction. The second one is mixed. But again, both of them would work as an answer. And there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, bye.